Peut-être que comme ça, même si tu prends des petits détails, l'escalier, tu payes. Regardez. Oh, regardez, on va donner au carton rouge. Il faut pas que les gens voient.
My people are buying their foodstuffs, getting ready for the lockdown. That is the situation in Cameroon as we speak. Today, we are going to dive deep into the root cause of the problems that Cameroon is going through. You see, you have to have love for your people, Black people. I want to see us thrive. I want to see us do better. I want to see us leave all this baggage and pain that we have gone through for hundreds of years and leave a legacy on earth. That is my heart for Black people. But we have to do things the right way, specifically Cameroonians. And now, my people of the United Kingdoms of Tikar. You see, every transformation always starts in a community, not government. The people in the community come together and realize, oh, we have a problem here, and they can push for that problem and get the ears of the government. If there is transformation, they go ahead and make that change. The people in this country are not compatible based on my research. I wrote this book, The Cameroon Dream. I put this up all the time so that if anyone in Cameroon or in the Anglophone zone thinks what I'm saying here is based on emotion, I always present this out of love. This book was written in both English and French. The title, The Cameroon Dream, that every Cameroonian could dream and make something out of their lives. This project, through the CSDP initiative, helped me understand that this country is divided. If the people accepted this project, accepted this book, I would have understood that Cameroon is one and indivisible, and the problem is probably just the government. But how this book and the project was received, the newspaper that we established, helped me to understand how diverse and how tribalistic Cameroonians are. People are tied to their tribes, their groups. Where you come from matters more than the idea that you present. That is the feedback I got. And that is why I started asking questions. How did we come together in the first place? This book, you say you're looking for peace, you're looking for unity, you want prosperity in Cameroon. The title of this book is Le Rêve Camerounais, The Cameroon Dream. How to achieve national peace, unity, freedom, and prosperity for all Cameroonians. Great people make a great nation. When someone tells me, oh, we want change, brother, I experienced this firsthand. People are inclined politically. Some thought this was a political project, whereas this was an economic development project that could help enhance the lives of every Cameroonian. Now, we will get into a little bit of global politics. You've heard about what is going on in Nigeria. Most conspiracy theorists in our community will tell you, oh, America just has interest in Nigerian oil. That is why they are doing what they are doing. They won't tell you that since 2009, 2013, the government of Nigeria petitioned the United States for help to combat terrorism in Nigeria. Begged. And they got into an alliance with America to combat terrorism in Africa, including Cameroon. And they have been receiving aid in hundreds of millions of dollars. And they have not done that job. Today, the American government is looking at a petition. They won't even show you the Christians that have been killed, that are going online on social media. They won't show you that. They won't show you the pastors that are screaming because of the impact of terrorism. They won't show you that. They'll just tell you America is an imperialist country that just want to hurt Africans. They won't tell you that these people are really bleeding in this part of the country, and they have been crying for help, writing letters, petitioning the United States government to get involved. They won't tell you all of that. And that is one of the biggest problems in our community. People don't do their research. They just complain, come up with ideas based on the siege mentality. You see, we've come through slavery and slave trade and colonialism. I will never deny the contribution of the West to the pain that we are going through today. But our future is in our hands. I'm not an enemy of the United States of America. I want to make that clear. And I am not that loyal to the United States of America. I am Tikar, for those who are confused. I'm not for Burkina Faso and what they are going through in their country. That is their business. If they do well by their people, I applaud them. If we have something in common, we can always come together to do something amazing for security in Africa, for peace and stability. I'm not loyal to anyone except those who have shown concern towards our cause. It's almost 9 years now. People have been bleeding. If you claim you are Cameroonian, you should be concerned about what is going on in the Anglophone zone, regardless of where you find yourself around the world. That is a true Cameroonian. But you guys got me into research, and I'm helping my people to have further clarity about themselves and about life in general. Burkina Faso, for example, changed their name from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso. We still have the name Cameroon, which means crayfish. That is the name the Portuguese gave us. We haven't even changed that. We go around the world on a national ID card. It's there, crayfish. What we have is the French and the English version of that name, but it's the same name. And what you call yourself matter. That is why when you give birth to a child, you give them a name. The first thing is a name. We still go with the name crayfish today. These are issues, existential issues we have to think about. Get it? Now, I'll clarify our Anglophone counterparts while educating those in this area. We are still connected somehow with Cameroon. So I'm educating both Cameroonians and Anglophones and those in the United Kingdoms of Tikar simultaneously for clarity. Because at the end of the day, we've been talking about discussions, right? Let's sit down on the table. This is a sit down on the table. The first step is education. And those who want to engage in reforming Cameroon, there are about 5 books that can help you understand how to structure a political system in a country that works. Because this is what happened. It happened in Libya and many other countries. When US or other foreign nations come in to help a nation that is being ruled by a dictator or an incompetent government, what happens at the end of the day is when that foreign power leaves, if that nation had weak institutions, there will be instability for a very long time. So when you ask for help from a superpower, be ready with strong institutions that can help stabilize the country. Without that, you end up with the same story that they came here and destroyed everything that you were building. So when your people are crying for help and the world comes in to help, be ready with proper structures to stabilize your nation after they are gone, because your people did ask for help. Now, we will talk a little bit about the history. We will look at the idea of how Ambazonian started, our true history, so that we can have perspective together Are you ready? Let's go ahead and study. We will have some great minds in this conversation. Brilliant people that will help shape this conversation so that we have a global perspective. I said, if you want to solve your problem, especially a geopolitical problem, it is important that you have a mastery of 5,000 years of history. At a minimum, 2,000 years. Like the Tikar story stretches 3,000 to 4,000 years. Israel is talking about 3,500 years in the Middle East. What they are going through with the Palestinians. The Gaza story. So you have to understand how geopolitics work. If not, everything will be speculation. Just like how France is overrated. It is absurd to think in the 21st century that French has economic value. It has prestige, that's true. I won't deny, I appreciate the contribution of France to Western civilization. Their philosophers, arts, fashion. France has contributed significantly, but their colonization project has met many nations with failure. Yeah, so most nations that were colonized by France have failed significantly. This is a global observation. This has nothing to do with France itself. It has everything to do with their colonization project. Does that make sense? Those nations have failed. And if you look at the world today, most countries that have produced enormously technology, arts, science, is English-speaking nations. This is a global observation. So for someone to think that Anglophones should become Francophones, French doesn't have economic value in this dispensation. And all the Francophones that are living in America and other parts of the world, you know these things, and you should be educating your people back home. And we don't just say everything is with the government. The government knows everything why the country goes down. You have to get involved. That is why you were born in that country, to be active, to contribute to the well-being of your country, not just stay in the back and then spread conspiracy theories. You have to be actively engaged in shaping your country. Because if what we are looking at right now might happen to Nigeria, happen in Cameroon, of which I see that in the future, guess what happens? Your properties, your businesses will be destroyed, whether you like it or not. If things go south, even with this election, your properties will be destroyed. So you cannot try to live in the hiding. Just don't care about what is going on with others. Just with those in the Northwest attached to this country. If you guys don't solve this issue fast and let those in the Tikar land go, get involved in that, we will never be peaceful with mediocrity. Never. We want excellence, we want precision, we want things done a certain way. We want action, and we have the energy. And you see that same energy here in America. It's not just lay low, let go. And to have those kind of people around, and then you label them in Cameroon crazy, and then you come abroad and then you see that same energy and you try to bend into that, but back home, you act as though those from the Anglophone zones are crazy. Doesn't work like that. If we want something better for everyone, we want something better for our lives, we should be able to identify those who produce that kind of energy in the country and be able to promote them, encourage them, and join them when they are struggling. Again, the Tikar people, especially the Bamenda and those in the Northwest, this energy, we are descendants of Tikar. They might be speaking French, but I know they are our brothers by blood, the Bamenda people. But this mission is for those in the United Kingdoms of Tikar in the Bamenda Highlands. But I want you to know that those in the Bamenda land are your brothers by blood. Ncharien Ngonso Titam II. We are descendants of Tikar. That is our history. This is thousands of years. Now, let's listen to Gojin Dinka.
Having been revived, British Southern Cameroon automatically is revived the same minute, the same second. Therefore, please limit the authority of the Republic of Cameroon to its territorial boundaries, which are east of the Mongo. And let us run our lives. Union of the two countries that form United the Republic of Cameroon has been dissolved. And once that union is dissolved, the two countries that formed it become free.
What I'm doing here is bringing about clarity to the foundation of this country through this video. Clarity. The history that even Issa Churuma Bakari doesn't know about this country, which is what I said. If you don't understand the history, you can't solve the problem. To clarify the Anglophones as well about the history. It was not the change of the name from the United Republic of Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon that dissolved this union. It was the absence of a legal union treaty, which indicate the relationship wasn't established in the first place. This is international law. And our people have to understand this. What makes you a Cameroonian? If they ask you from the Anglophone zone, what made you a Cameroonian? You say your ID card or your birth certificate? That is identification. What makes you a Cameroonian is legitimacy. Those in La République du Cameroon, you had your independence in 1960 as a sovereign state. So you being born as a Francophone, that is legitimacy. Even though we will have the same passport, ID cards, or birth certificate. Legitimacy. So what Gojin Dinka is saying, this is the founder of Ambazonia. Then let's keep listening.
And that is why La République de Cameroon, which was no longer existing, came back into force. 2018.
And this is what I said. Without clarity on our story, it is hard for anyone to follow. So that is from Gojin Dinka. We will listen to Dr. Carson Anyangwe. And I make these videos because some in the community won't believe, because they think we have professors in the community. They know better. And what they have done is sufficient that nothing better will ever come. So I make some of these videos to clarify them. Some of them reach out to me personally. So that is why I bring images like this. Do you understand? The best is yet to come. The best is not behind us. What our elders have done right up to this point, it is our responsibility to make things better moving forward. Just like what the ancestors of Americans did. They came and they've produced Facebook, AI. They are doing better moving forward. Not relying only on those in the past and what they have done. They appreciate those in the past. So whatever mistake our forefathers have made, they sparked our curiosity to think that there is a problem here. Just like I wrote the book, The Cameroon Dream, to help the entire country move forward. The people don't want to involve. The country doesn't want to engage. Then I'm realizing that our people might be saying something that we should pay attention to. Dig deep into it, and that is what I'm bringing clarity to. So we'll listen to Dr. Carson Anyangwe. The UN could help us. Our people can have clarity so that we don't have people who are 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Those who think, oh, we should unite, or those who think we should divide. If you have to unite, do it the right way. We live in a world governed by laws. In one of my videos, I explained to you the First Amendment of America, the Second Amendment. We also have the Fifth Amendment. which is the right to remain silent. You must not speak. So this country is governed by laws, and some people don't know that. So now we have all these opinions in the community because people must talk, people must say something, but it's all emotion-based. We cannot lead a society like that. You must say something constructive, not just say anything that you feel. The Fifth Amendment in America says you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent, and you can stop a police officer from searching your home. In America, if you know what to say, when to say it, it is very important that you know your rights, even if you are an immigrant in America. And then the Sixth Amendment say you have the right to a fair trial. So you can choose even the members of the juries. If you feel like they are prejudiced towards you, you can choose juries. Choose a lawyer that can represent you. That is why you choose even a lawyer to represent you. That's why you're choosing someone, Issa Chiruma Bakari, to represent you as the president of the country, representative government, even though the political structure is flawed in Cameroon. Because that kind of democracy that is practiced in Cameroon, in most African countries as well, is the most archaic form of democracy. Here in America, there is the Electoral College, made up of 538 members. They can override the voice of 341 million people in this country because they know what they are doing and they will serve the best interests of the people. Those are representatives. This is not conspiracy theory. This is facts. You see the difference? So you have the right to remain silent until you understand. And you can also get a lawyer to represent you so that they speak on your behalf. If many of you, the way you talk, if you went into court, you get yourself into trouble really fast. And you might serve jail time if you had a good lawyer. You wouldn't have to go through that. That works even in Cameroon. Now, let's listen to Dr. Carson Anyangwe. I'm just helping us. This is civic education. So that when we are building a functioning society, we are living with people that are civilized, understand who they are, understand their rights in the country, can help shape policies, guide their family members, even how to relate with police people, relate with the armies. This is very important to live in a civilized society. It's not just energy, high voice, I want to speak, I want to talk. No, that's not what runs a civilized society. Now let's listen to Dr. Carson Anyangwe. Remember when Von Gojindinka had the idea of Ambazonia, he called Dr. Carson Anyangwe and shared this vision with him. But when I listened to Von Gojindinka and I listened to Dr. Carson Anyangwe, there's already contradiction. But let's take a listen.
Marks 160 years of unbroken colonial domination of our homeland. 160 years. British from 1858 to 1887. I'm not counting the earlier years, going back to 1844 when the British concluded treaties with our coastal chiefs. But when they took effective occupation of our coastal land was in 1885, and that territory was named Victoria after Queen Victoria. Then German, we have 160 years of unbroken colonial domination. The British, 1858 to 1887. German, 1888 to 1914. British again, from 1914 to 1961. And since 1961, French Cameroon to this date. This, you would imagine, is a unique concatenation in this African continent.
That was going to...
You see, the stories are not consistent. If you listen to that entire clip for more than 20 minutes, I couldn't follow a clear story. And that was before the international community. And hence, you hear people like Dr. Che Ayaba saying we got our independence and La Republique marched into our country. We have to be clear with our story and speak with plain language. The goal is that the Amba fighters understand. Those even in La Republique du Cameroon understands this story so that we can achieve our goals, so that we can have peace in this area. When the story is not clear. Some come here and they are looking for grammatical fault. I think you guys said we were against Europeans. The goal of this is not to impress you with grammar. I want to be as simple as possible, but not also water down things. I'm not here to impress you with grammar. You get what I'm saying? If you say you're against colonial masters and then you're measuring my grammar or filial words, I mean, who are you? Then those who go ahead promoting maybe pidgin English in our community, it is better you speak your tribal language, because pidgin English is really a struggle with the original language, which is English. That is pidgin English. It distorts your ability to speak English fluently. That is what pidgin English does for you. So it's better you speak your native tongue. If you want to speak English, speak the proper English. Because why? When we start setting up businesses, you have to be communicating with people from other countries. And you will have to be proficient at English. Not just when you go to your job, you want to do things the right way. Like the Chinese people, they have their local language, but they also speak English. They will speak better English over time than us. If English is still the diplomatic and business language of the world, Chinese people have a high chance of doing better than us. Because why? We mix ours with the pidgin English. So it's better you speak your native tongue than speak broken English. Does that make sense? We've heard what Dr. Carson Anyangwe said. One thing you realize is this story wasn't clear. Every young person that I talked to, almost all of them told me that maybe because the policeman maltreated me, seized my money, treated me a certain way, took the life of my relative, that is what got me in this fight. Very few could explain the reason why the Anglophones are fighting. And that is very important. And my goal is that everyone from the United Kingdoms of Tikar understands this history and can articulate this history with clarity. So, let's listen to Jongu Foncha. And then we'll listen to Fon Angwafo to have clarity, because we will have to listen to all the Ambazonian leaders, listen to individuals like Jongu Foncha. These were the architects of unification. And then we will find truth in between. So let's take a listen.
To see the legalization of the draft constitution. So the very August, I had to go back to him and remind him about the resumed constitution. When he did not answer me in September, I reminded him. But unfortunately, on 1st of October, I used the draft to declare federation and unification.
To our Francophone counterparts as well. That is Jongu Foncha you just listened to. We were a UN trust territory. Different from La Republique du Cameroon. And a German colony is different from a UN trust territory. Just like you can't just take Chad Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, or the parts of Nigeria that was a German colony, and stitch them together and say, this is Cameroon. The Cameroon with K. The Cameroon we have now is with C. So for nations to come together, there is a due process. We had to go through an election. They didn't just say, oh, this is coming back together, and then we came back together. No, there was a process. So you had your independence in 1960. In 1961, the UN conducted a plebiscite, and we had two options: to either join Nigeria or join La République du Cameroun. There was the third option that our people had, which was self-government, but that option wasn't accepted. We will listen to Fonangwafo III, and then I'll show you guys where the foundation of this nation has an issue. Let's take a listen. So, are you getting it? If your government has told you something else, or if some zealous leader from the Ambazonian group has told the people something else, I'm bringing clarity so that we understand. Because this will not just take the government of Cameroon, it will take collective effort. If not, we will hope someday for a Western nation to get involved, and it will be catastrophic for everybody here if we don't solve these problems now. And don't tell me tomorrow that you don't have power. If you turn on your camera and start talking about what is going on when the chaos starts. So we bring clarity so that we can demonstrate maturity. Civilization started in Africa. Let's show up as those leaders. Think, use our brain, reason, and have a mature conversation. Let's listen.
For instance, Foncha. That was a mediator. That was the head of government. You go to a conference when this government prepares a paper. This government prepares a paper. You put the two papers. They may have the same items. You discuss them. Select one, throw the other. We made an effort to make on here. The cultural hall, which is now library. We met. We took some resolutions. Foncha was to our leader, our head of government. He was to present that we argue in Fumba. He did not present that paper. He was not talking with that paper. That's just where we quarreled. So Ahiju was reading his own, and with this, we're examining Ahiju's own. Where is our own? Joa was very bitter about it, but that is.
Joa is the 37-year-old statesman that was part of that convoy. He was bitter as to how Foncha carried himself at the Fumban conference. I told you, young people, it's time for you to step up. Foncha was 45 at the time. I think Angwafo III was 36 at the time. So this is very, very important. Some of the misconceptions from our leaders is that the Fumban conference led to a ratified union treaty. We've scanned the UN archives. There is no ratified union treaty. So the Fumban was actually just a party. Nothing substantial came out of Fumban that could ratify a union. A conference doesn't make a union. A ratified union treaty makes a union. When people are celebrating after they've gone to court, signed the documents, go to church, perform the mass, then they go on to celebrate the wedding. But the contract had not yet been signed for us. That was just events to discuss, like the knock door that we do. That is what Foncha, Amadou Ahidjo, the Fumban conference looked like. Just an event to deliberate. of which you heard Foncha said, oh, I tried to get Amadou Ahidjo to ratify the union, of which I said we have to be educating our Francophone counterparts as well. Guide them on many things. Let's keep listening.
Our leader, what we resolve here, we ourselves did not get back the copies. We think we have a prepared hearing. All our views were given to the leader. Had what we decided here been secreted to members attending the conference, we can begin to talk. If I say, Fonja, as John did, John spoke there. I was sitting here. Fonja said, if you like, you go back, you tell the people I've not done what we decided to do. So was that the thing to go back there and come back with quarrel? Follow your leader. We did our best. If our best does not suit you 50 years later, wait your best today will not suit the people 50 years to come.
Someone who believes.
One thing I want you to pay attention to what Fonangwafo said is, if you think their best did not suit you, that you just want to blame them. Wait, 50 years down the line, your best will be criticized by those who come after you. And today, what is happening? The Ambazonians are being blamed. We handle these issues with grace and maturity. And when we are tackling these issues, let's come up with something better, not just criticizing. This is the distinction. Providing clarity, bringing up something better, because the goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to make our society better, make our community better. So, Nso and Bamenda are critical geographical locations for our development. That is why we say Nso will be our political capital, because it is one of those places that was not tampered with during the German era. The Nso people were warriors. They fought back and preserved our heritage. And Ngonso, remember, these were the first settlers in that area. The Nso people from Bambafia, they were one of the first groups that came down there. Nso, strong people. And today, if you look at the military, Nso is strong. And it's for a purpose, because they have the heart of the Tikar people. And there's a lot to cover in this video. I don't want to fast track myself, but there is a lot for us to learn. But Bamenda will be our economic capital, because it is the most diverse place. I mean, almost everyone from the Northwest will say, I have someone in Bamenda. And that is amazing. We criticize some of the things our leaders have done, but one thing that I will appreciate Fonangwafo for was the mindset to see that there was a city here and the diversity that he brought in, and reduced tribalism, that everyone is welcome in Bamenda. I love that. Let's pick up from there and make things better. So we'll be sending some people to go learn in Banso. Learn tradition. Learn your tradition. And the custodians in Banso will teach us, because most of our traditions have been tampered with. Look at the way our forms are behaving right now. We have to restore most of them. They've lost touch with reality and with their ancestors. You can't give the thorn of thorns to Paul Bear. That is a sacred power that we hold in the United Kingdoms of Tikar. You can't give that to an outsider. And we don't have a union treaty with La République du Cameroon. So this is what I want you to see. The resolution 1608, my friend, is a very important document. It was issued on April 21st, 1961. So this is the timeline. 11 February that you go out to celebrate, that was the plebiscite day. They call it Youth Day now, but that was the plebiscite. That was the day we were asked the question, do you choose to join La République or join the Federal Republic of Nigeria? We voted. Again, voting is not an indication of joining. And I've cited Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump's election here in the United States. What happened? Hillary Clinton won Donald Trump with a popular vote by 2.9 million people. But the Electoral College chose Donald Trump to become president of the United States of America. Because the country works on laws, not majority wins the vote. And hence, that is why I said the democracy practice in Cameroon is a different type of democracy practice compared to the one practiced in America. So, on the 11th of February, that is what happened. The Fumban conference happened in July. And the United Nations said before October 1st, you should ratify a union treaty. So there was a statute of limitation. So the resolution 1608 says it invites the government of the United Kingdom's Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon to initiate urgent discussions, and hence the Fumban conference, with a view to finalizing before October 1st, 1961, the arrangement by which the declared policies of the parties will be implemented. So that was the goal. If you wanted federation, ratify a union treaty based on that. This is the truth that will set Cameroon free. You can't dabble with this. You can say you have crowd, you have size. It will never work. Your people will suffer. You see how they are buying foods now to stock at home? I mean, it's going to be bad on Cameroon very soon. That is the summary of the resolution 1608. Now, Article 102 of the UN Charter says every treaty and every international agreement entered into by any member of the United Nations shall, as soon as possible, be registered with the Secretariat and published by it. So they had to ratify a union treaty, deposit it at the UN, and have it published. That never happened. Article 76B of the UN Charter says to promote the political, economic, social, and educational advancement of the inhabitants of the Trust Territory and their progressive development towards self-government or independence as may be appropriate to the particular circumstances of each territory and its peoples. So this particular section helps us to understand that because a ratified union treaty wasn't deposited at the UN, these people have the right to self-determination. And the statute of limitation was October 1st, 1961. John Guffoncha said he rushed around trying to get Aijo to ratify that union to no avail. And he used the draft to declare the union and federation. That is illegal according to international law. We don't live in a world governed by emotions, my brother. The world doesn't work like that. Some of you have tried it, right? You know what it means to just do business with family members without an agreement. You know how that turns on you. All of a sudden, you are enemies in the family. That is why we are where we are today. Even with friends, you don't have an agreement. So, oh, it's my brother. No, life doesn't work like that. So without a ratified union treaty, we are legally not citizens of La République du Cameroun by law. Now, I want you to listen to the former U.S. Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice. Great woman. She assisted immensely during post-Cold War to help bring stability globally. The first black woman to become the U.S. Secretary of State. Her story will shock you, but I want to take you through the process gradually. Right? She was an advisor to Ronald Reagan, served under the Bush administration, is still actively involved in shaping policies that governs the United States of America till date. Her PhD is in Soviet military strategy. She's a powerhouse. Let's try as much as possible to listen to our own, because sometimes if we don't see somebody who is white, we don't believe them. But this woman is a powerhouse. Her story will shock you, but let's listen to her.
Deeply in history, because I believe you can't really understand today's events unless you understand where they've come from. And it gives you a depth of understanding that allows for better decision making. Now, there are uses and misuses of history. I think the uses are to say, what about this looks different? But what about it maybe we've seen before? Our good friend Steve Kotkin often says everything is unprecedented unless you know history. And
Yeah.
so, because human beings,
everything is unprecedented unless you know history. That's why I said 5,000 years of human history helps you have perspective on your problem on earth. And you can solve your problem without maybe attacking those you shouldn't be attacking. If you really want help, stay away from some people's business. Right?
are the only beings that we know that they had a past, they live in a present, they expect a future.
We understand that we have a past. The question is, do you understand that past? And for the Tikar people, that is why I went way back, before slavery and slave trade, colonialism, that depth of understanding of our history. Because when you pull the catapult way back, you can hit a target from a distance. But if your catapult, this is 1961. Now we find incompatibilities. People calling you come no go. You don't know why. Calling you Ngrafi, Mojili, slave. Why is it that we have many Northwesterners in the Southwest? Why don't we have many Southwesterners in the Northwest? What has happened with us over time? Because we've been moved from the Northwest to the Limbe port and sold as slaves. So there is a history of us moving that way. When the CDC plantation was established, we were the ones serving there before slavery and slave trade was abolished, before colonialism was abolished. So there is a history of moving there. Why is it that we have many tribes in the Northwest than any other region in Cameroon? Because we had to break up into smaller tribes in order to avoid being captured as slaves. Why is it that we speak many languages? And that is a question some have asked. And this is what happens with people over time. Remember, I said we are Tikar. Most of the languages we speak is called Bantoid. So these Bantu languages, we adopted this over time. And people find their leaders, find a language in times of chaos. Imagine if you try to speak just your pidgin English to my own child right now, they won't understand you. They won't understand you because we don't speak pidgin at home. We rarely speak even the native language at home. So how many years has that been? My son is not up to 10. So just in his generation, because he was raised here in the United States of America, there's a high chance he might not understand pidgin. He might not understand his native tongue. So we are talking about hundreds of years. So obviously we pick up languages over time. Some of my friends told me they couldn't understand my accent. I said, I don't even think I have an accent. He said, I speak differently compared to how I used to speak when I was back home. I said, I'm not even conscious about that. So this is what happens with people over time. So linguistic is not a determinant of where you come from, but DNA. DNA. Now let's keep listening.
And a lot of leadership is connecting where they've been to where they are now to where they want to go. And to do that, you have to understand the history of a people, the history of a country, even the history of certain leaders can be helpful.
That is why I listen to Amadou Ayijo, I listen to John Gu Foncha, I listen to Anwafo III, I listen to Gojin Dinka, I listen to Dr. Carson Anyangwe. If you see, I focus on these people. I'm not too focused on events. Initially, I look at the leaders, what they are saying. You see, you hear that? The history, the leaders, like where we've been and where we are going. With this, you can't miss to solve a national problem.
What we should do is think about the 300 billion in frozen Russian assets. I would go after that before I would do
Euroclear in Brussels.
Exactly,
yes,
because
she's a very disciplined woman, no BS, right? She knows who she is, very smart, intelligent, articulate. She said they will go after Russian assets if Russia doesn't stop what they are doing to Ukraine. Take those assets. Not the assets of the oligarchs, but the Russian assets, and give it to Ukraine so they can, and give it to Ukraine so that they can fight Russia. They are going to seize the Russian assets and give it to Ukraine so they can fight Russia. This is a stateswoman. Let's keep listening.
And by the way, not the ones for oligarchs. I don't want the United States to become a place where private investment is not considered safe. But the Russian central bank assets, I would take them in a second, and I'd give them to the Ukrainians to fight this war.
The great Tikar.
She said they will seize the Russian assets and give it to Ukraine. But not the oligarchs, not the business owners from Russia. Some people don't understand how the world works. The United States government has about 750 military bases in 80 countries. This is geopolitics. Some sources say about 4,800 military bases globally. United States of America. Russia has about maybe 20 to 30 military bases in about 12 countries. There are about 195 countries in the world. About 193 are part of the UN. This is the influence the United States have. Because when people in our community just insult maybe the United States or maybe France or Britain, my brother, do you understand geopolitics? And some were saying, oh, Ibrahim Traore can fight America, can partner with Russia. My brother, let them tell you all those things they tell you in the bar. There are many from our country that live in this nation but don't understand half of what this country is capable of, because the people are friendly, nice, they meet you, smile. They don't understand. Because of the love of Christ and Christianity that runs this country, I think so. They don't understand what this country is capable of. Again, America has about 750 military bases. Some other sources say about 4,800 in 80 countries. That is geopolitics. Do you understand what I'm saying? I told you that Sub-Saharan Africa United If Africa come together under that idea of one Africa, the second largest continent in the world, they want to turn it into one country because of the siege mentality or the pain in the past. Let's not let the pain in the past control us. That is what will kill us. That is what will destroy us. Bitterness and anger is in everybody because of the pain of the past. When you have a balanced perspective of the pain of the past, you can solve your problem with a clear mind. When you're clouded with the pain of the past, you can't even see the future. Do you understand? Who is Condoleezza Rice? That is a Tikar woman. Her predecessors were kidnapped and sold as slaves from the Tikar land, Northwest. Her DNA test results says she is from Tikar. I want you to imagine just this woman alone. I just wanted to show you what you are capable of, Bamenda people. This is a Bamenda woman taken from your land. So this is the depth of research that we do to build something that will work. Did you know that? When East and West Germany were reuniting, this is the woman that handled that entire project, facilitated the process from Bamenda, Tikar, Northwest. This is your sister. There are about 20 of them that we have identified. That if we had to go through that man no man kind of strategy, they could make the entire Cameroon suffer. But again, you don't use your connections and power to inflict pain on others. I know you're a good man when you have the power, but you don't exercise that power, but you choose to have sympathy. She has shaped policies that has transformed this country, transformed the world from Tikar, Bamenda. Even the women in our community, I want you to see what is possible. Because we have some amazing women in the community. Some of them have an open mind. That is Condoleezza Rice. That is your sister. That is your mother, some of you. That is some of you, your grandmother. PhD in Soviet military strategy. That is who Condoleezza Rice is. Again, imagine if we had to bring some of them on board, because we have some names. We call some place in Gang Junction, all sorts of names. These are individuals that their contribution to our cause could lead to us changing some streets that we have there and name them after those streets in the United Kingdoms of Tikar. These are people that were taken from us. Imagine that you even get some of them on board. They want to come in, they meet this organized idea called Ambazonia. Because if you call any place around the world, she knows the history. Well-traveled, well-learned woman. Disciplined to the core. And I see her, I'm like, I see why we are the way we are, Bamenda people. And then you will be hanging around these individuals and they'll be calling you crazy. You bring her in and say, we are dealing with Ambazonia. Brother, she's gone. And she looked at it and oh, that's the port where my ancestors were sold as slaves. Now you call yourself Ambazonia after that place. This woman is not respected globally because of natural resources, because of skill, talent. This is just one shot from the Tikar land. Let's keep listening. Is this message blessing you? Yeah, believe in yourself, my people. This your Francophone counterparts be guiding them, teaching them, instruct them. Forget about the BIR. I say Cameroon would have had nothing like military if not for the Boko Haram insurgency that the United States government, Israel, and France started supporting them to build a military. These are post-colonial countries. Don't let them fool you with all those talks in the bar and in Jangi groups. This is a different game. Those who were talking about Ibrahim Traore, you think if the United States want to pound on Burkina Faso, there's any country on earth that will stop the United States of America? Just like what the United States have said about Nigeria, do you think there's a country on earth that can stop the United States of America? But they are looking at doing the right thing, not trying to prove a point. And one thing you should understand about Russia or China, China just wants to do business and grow. They are not an ideological country, China. America is an ideological country. And you should understand the difference. That is why they will partner with us against maybe terrorism. And our people come to them for help. They don't just get into your country like that. They will partner with you to fight HIV and AIDS, malaria, because they have interest in helping humanity. China doesn't have that interest. They just want to do business. And so that's why you see the relationship is different. Do you understand? Like Christianity, we share that in common with the United States of America. So if they are coming in to help Christians in maybe the Anglophone zone or maybe in Nigeria, because they have something in common, because they know the role Christianity has played to shape Western civilization. Remember, Christianity came from the Middle East, not from Europe, because some don't know that in our community. Go look at where Israel is on the map. Europe had to drop their own gods and pick up the Christian God. And so does many countries around the world. Do you understand? So people go around saying things that they don't know. My people, I say Africa united, Netherlands alone, not the United States, don't even call the United States. Africa united, just the Netherlands alone, without fighting, throwing any bomb, can cripple the entire sub-Saharan Africa in 1 month, remotely. You see, Donald Trump talked about the mission to Iran. It was swift, fast. And did you see any country in the world challenge the United States? No. So China is interested in business. America is interested in spreading their ideas. Why? Because if you look at how America is structured, they are following the Roman Empire. And hence why you have to understand thousands of years of history. America is structured, even their roads, the buildings in Washington, D.C., most of this is being modeled after Rome. And hence you see why they even give the citizenship. That was an idea during the reign of the Roman Empire. If you read your Bible, you hear Apostle Paul said, is it okay? He was challenging a Roman soldier. Do you think it's right for you to flog a Roman citizen? And the soldier was shocked that he paid a lot of money for his own citizenship. And he was like, yeah, I'm a Roman citizen. But Apostle Paul comes from the tribe of Benjamin. Then the question we will ask is, how did Apostle Paul, a Jew, become a Roman citizen? So either his family probably did some trade that warrants him to maybe have the Roman citizenship, or maybe they provided some service in that area that gave his family the opportunity for Apostle Paul to become a Roman citizen. So it was different. In America, you must be born here You must serve here for some time, maybe file an asylum or something, and over time, or marry, and then you have the American citizenship. But during that era, the places where they colonized, you could serve in that area and have Roman citizenship. That is the difference. So America is really modeling after the Roman Empire. This country is structured after the Roman Empire. And hence, you hear about 750 military bases around the world. So their fight is ideological. And they love to spread Christianity. They love to fight humanitarian crisis and terrorism. And they don't just say it, they send financial support. And they've done that to Cameroon, Nigeria, and many other countries that they share similar beliefs. And some will say, oh, America spreads LGBT. I say all of these things because, again, it's civic education. So we don't go around ignorant, right? We have the Republican Party in America and we have the Democratic Party. Most of those left-leaning ideas, it might be LGBTQ, these are ideas coming from the Democratic Party, liberal individuals in America. Have you heard that during the reign of Donald Trump? No, because the Republican Party is a pro-American party or pro-American values, let me put it that way. Like Texas is a Republican state where I am. People here go to church, worship God. They are very strict and disciplined, raise their children a certain way. So America is not just a country you can paint with a broad stroke. We have the left and the right, and those forces are at work in this country. So if one group has a president come out of that group and they have certain ideas, that doesn't mean the entire United States of America want the same thing or are pushing for the same thing. Have you heard about LGBTQ during Donald Trump's reign? No. What do you think happened? The ideas disappeared because we have a Republican president in power. And the question we should be asking, what does this presidency value? They value business. That is why you see they are coming to Nigeria, because why? They value these Christians. They value business, Christian values, family values, traditional values. That is all the Republican Party. While the Democratic Party have an open mind, they are for any idea that will work, inclusivity and all that. And so if there's a president from the Democratic Party, they might have individuals within that party that want to spread whatever idea that they want. That is the difference.